everyone, it's Beth with CVR. I am going to tell you a little bit about power-ups today, how you use them in the game, and perhaps give you a little insight on how they work and when you might want to use them or when you might not want to use them. I've kind of been a case study in the last months of how not to use them, so maybe some of this will help you not repeat the mistakes that I've made, and you can live a little bit vicariously. Although I will tell you, it does take some experience and some thinking to put this together. So don't worry if you don't flawlessly execute your power-ups in your first race. So let's just say you're coming into the game and you're signing up for a race. So the hamburger menu, under the play menu, you can click events, or what you can do is you can click on this shortcut icon and you can open events. So here is the list of events that I'm going to be racing later today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I've already scheduled this one, but you can see these are the power-ups in play. Go to the next event, I'll schedule that. These are the power-ups in play. I'll go to the next one, I'll schedule that. These are the power-ups at play. So you can see that there's Razor's Edge, Uncrashable, Wind at Your Back, and what will happen is this is just a fixed one-time use duration of 10 seconds. So what will happen when you're racing is they will come in these little banks right here. So you'll be able to use them one time if that's how the race organizer sets it up, or the race organizer can set it up that it refreshes every 3 minutes, every 4 minutes. So it's really up to the race organizer what power-ups are at play and how many times they come up, and they will list in your bank here. So I spoke in an earlier video that all you have to do to activate your power-up is just press the number associated with that power-up. So right now I'm in this view, so let's go ahead and start riding. I'm already on keyboard control, so I'm just going to start my my plus key to start moving. You can see in my mini map I'm starting to move, but on this camera view it's just there we go. Now I show the bike. We were fixed on the overview. So here I am. I'm riding, and I'm going to want to use power-up 1. I happen to know that that symbol is for quantum shift, and that's what quantum shift looks like. So every time you fire a power-up, you or the person around you will have this animation so that you know that you're being, that's the power-up that they're firing. So on this video, I'm not going to go through and fire every power-up so you can see the animation, but I just want you to know that's how you execute your power-up, and after a while that one will refill if the organizer set it to refill. So let's talk about just the basic power-ups and understand that any of these power-ups can be configured as an ability within a race. So if you wanted to have quantum shift on for the whole race, it would mean you'd be able to phase through all the other riders without crashing or bumping into them. In a race situation, quantum shift for a duration of 10 seconds is a way that you can actually phase through a rider to avoid being blocked or bumping into them, or say the rider's in front of you, you're trying to sprint around them, you can avoid needing to change a lane to sprint around. You can take the lead out, dig in, hit quantum shift, and phase right through them. So it's a pretty powerful power-up. There's also, you saw Wind at Your Back. What Wind at Your Back does is it gives you, for 10 seconds, a 20 kph tailwind. So you get a nice little push. Wind at Your Back does, you do find that you accelerate quite a bit. So you want to be careful that when you use Wind at Your Back, you're using it at a place where you don't think your speed will exceed the corner speed. So maybe up a hill. There's no hard and fast rules with these power-ups. It's just kind of a few times when you shouldn't do it. So you have to watch your speed, think about how that tailwind is going to affect your speed, and decide if it's going to expire before you, say, get to a corner. Weight lifted is another good one. You can actually become 30 kilograms lighter for 10 seconds. That can give you a little bit of a boost. So if you were mounting an attack and you thought you had the time and you weren't going to crash, you could actually get a little speed on your competition maybe to make that breakaway, or a little bit more power or speed on the climb. It's super powerful to use the weight lifted on the climb, of course, because you're lighter and you have to carry less kilograms up the hill here. So Razor's Edge is another power up that's really fun. It makes you, we say, as tall as a razor, but I like to think of it as more like as aerodynamic as a razor. So you're super thin and you cut through the air, so maybe you're tall and thin, but the idea is that the drag, you're not being pulled by the wind, you're creating less resistance moving through the air, so you actually move very fast through the air. Let's take look at a couple other ones here. Let's see here. How about, yes, uncrashable. So uncrashable, for 10 seconds, you're uncrashable. And that's pretty fabulous because whether there's a corner speed or there's another player out on the track, being uncrashable can mean the difference of winning a race or losing a race. So you want to save that one. It's super powerful. Sometimes if you're catching up with a group, you might find that uncrashable is useful so that you don't have to slow down for the corner. So in other words, you might be a couple corners back and you can see the people ahead of you and you're saying, well, if I don't have to lose any of my speed in this corner, I can actually bridge the gap. So it kind of depends on what you have in your power-up bank to decide, is this the best time to use it? Where's my position on course? So it's kind of a lot of thinking, but very simply, like uncrashable. There's a couple courses that have a hairpin turn or a near hairpin turn at the finish line, and those uncrashables coming into the finish so that you don't have to slow down are pretty magnificent, but they're only good for 10 seconds, so you have to fire them at the right time so they don't expire before you get to the corner. Lazy Boy is, it locks you into 367 equalized watts for 10 seconds. So let's say that, you're needing just a break for 10 seconds. You're looking around, everybody's kind of steady. Maybe that's a good time to use it because you can actually catch your breath and just take 10 seconds and not pedal. But what you don't want to do is use Lazy Boy when you have more in your legs because it's just going to hold you at 367. So use that one wisely. Corner caper. So this is really a good one as well. It's a little bit different than uncrashable, but corner caper allows you to take a corner and you won't slide out. So uncrashable is uncrashable entirely, and corner caper is so that you won't slide out. And obviously, oh, look, I gotta pay attention. I'm coming up here. So this is one of my favorite courses, but I do not want to crash, not while I'm doing a video. Move over, Elaine. There we go. And then I'm going to come back over. I'm just using the arrow keys just to kind of float around the course as I go. So that's corner caper. Let's take a look at another one here. Inertia. Oh my gosh, inertia is the one that was killing me the other day. So inertia, actually both inertia and path of least resistance were kind of my nemesis when they were supposed to be helping. So with inertia, you won't slow down for 10 seconds. So what that is if you are going 50 kph and you hit inertia, it's going to stay at 50 kph. So really good on a straightaway, not so good when you're coming into a corner. I have kind of put that on at the wrong time where I'm holding that, thinking that I have 10 seconds on that straightaway, but I'm going so fast, the corner sneaks up on me. And I'm exceeding the corner speed, so be careful with that one. Path of least resistance, well, just like if you were on an ice skating rink and you're trying to make a corner. Path of least resistance, again, you can come up to speed pretty quickly because you don't have that as high of a rolling resistance on your tires, but that does also cause the opposite effect, or a problem where it can actually not help you, is if you slide out in a corner. So least resistance helps you get to speed faster because you don't have that road resistance, but because you don't have that road resistance, if you use it on a corner, swing, out you go. And these are for 10 seconds, so sometimes you can use them, and I kind of live life on the edge, and I would fire them just a little too late or a little too early. So really timing of these and knowing, you can see as these roads turn around how you don't want to use it at the wrong time. So we have some more obstacles coming up. So in other words, if I'm coming down here and maybe I fired inertia, which I'm not going to right now, I might have too much speed carrying it into the corner. So we already talked about quantum shift. Quantum shift allows you to phase through other riders, and that's again good if you're coming into a sprint and there's a lot of congestion and you don't have the lane space to move around. It's really good if someone's trying to block you. It's also just really good. You can use the person in front of you as a lead out and then quantum shift and go right through them, which is pretty awesome. Let's see another one here. Flat tire. Lord of flat tires. Okay, this one is really hard. It gives everybody a flat tire except for you. So if everybody has one flat tire and there are 10 people in the race, you can bet that 10 times during the race, your speed is going to be brought down to 0, while that one person who fired it is going to keep going. So it's these have been used in a team manner, and these have been used as individual racers. So let's just say I'm with a couple of my teammates, and we're trying to help each other with a position. You can use the flat tire to sort of stop the competition around these other your teammates, or you can just do it to help yourself, where you are coming into the finish and you kind of know that other people don't have that flat tire, but you really do need to pay attention, because if they have a flat tire and you flat tire them, and you're flat tiring everybody, you're not flat tiring one person, you're giving everyone a flat tire. So those come around quickly, so everybody is constantly coming to a screeching halt and then needing to accelerate again. So when that power-up is in play, the racing is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. We talked about power plant, but I'll talk about it again. Power plant gives you 100 extra watts for 10 seconds. So it just gives you a little bit of a boost. Sometimes you might want to do those those plays when you are making an attack, when you're on a climb, when you just need a little bit more in your legs. Maybe your competition is looking really tired, so you can actually just get a little bit of an edge on the competition. So power plant, more watts for 10 seconds, 100 more watts for 10 seconds. So I think that's the ones that I wanted to go over. Let me just make sure I went over them. I talked about wind at your back, weight lifted, razor's edge. We talked about uncrashable, lazy boy, corner caper, and we talked about power plant and flat tires. There's a few other. There's a leader, there's a sweeper, there's just underdog and comeback kid, but we'll save those for another day. I think we'll start with the ones that we race with the most, get familiar with those, and then we'll do another video on some of those other power-ups that we do have in play. And if you are organizing a race, you can set these up as abilities. You can set them up as power-ups. You can have them refresh. You can have a single use, only once per whole race. So it's really up to you. It's super configurable, and I hope you found this helpful.